Shop Direct, and Matthew Briers, CEO of Aeriandi. Welcome.
Morning everybody, this is caffeined up now. I'm Dave Evans from Shop Direct. You're probably thinking, who are Shop Direct? Well, our two main trading brands are Berry and Littlewoods. Each year we take about 1.7 billion of customer payments. And within those payments, there's 20 million card transactions, and we take about 25% of them through our phone infrastructure. We're currently partway through a 5-year strategy to turn us into a world-class digital retailer. And within that strategy, there's a strong focus on simplifying the customer experience and also protecting their data. And part of that, being PCI compliant, is important. It's an important responsibility for us. Our e-commerce PCI project completed in 2010, and the next part of the project was focusing on the phone payments that we take. Within the process, we identified 3 key risks, and as part of that process, we got both board support and shareholder support to move forward. The first risk was reputational risk. We want our customers to be confident the card payments they make with us, the data is safe and the environment is secure. And then there's fraud risk. We wanted to remove all card data that was visible on screen and also accessible via call recordings. And the final one, on the funding risk side, the main funding structure of Shop Direct is underpinned by payments we take from our customers. So it's very important for us that our external funding partners are happy that the processes we use to take these payments are robust and compliant.
So when Dave got in touch with us, there were 4 key criteria that he was looking at for the various options he had going forward. So he asked us to help him with the risk that he just mentioned. So 2 areas on the risk. One was de-scoping the environment, the infrastructure that he had, but also secondly the agent risk. If we could provide a solution that helped stop agents getting access to the data, the card data in the first place. The second one was the effect on customer experience. Wanted to make sure that whatever solution was put in place didn't detract from the customer experience that they have. In particular, that's of ensuring that the payment process, when they got to it, finished. And you'll see on some of the options that Dave had, some options don't keep the customer in contact with the agent all throughout the payment process, which is important. Cost always, if you're a supplier, you're always asked to deliver things more cheaply and more quickly. And PCI DSS requirements, so there are 12 requirements, and the whole goal of trying to de-scope, of course, is to reduce those number of requirements that you need to meet the obligations. These dials are nice and simple. On the left, green is good, and on the right, red is bad. And I've got that other way around, which is good. Well done. So there were 4 options that we were part of the mix of being looked at. So the first one was restructuring the call process. So at the moment, the payment at Shop Direct could be at any point within the call. They looked at restructuring the process so that the payment was at the end of the call and the customer was passed off to an IVR system. The second option was to continue with pause review, call recording, network segregation, implement all of the controls of PCI DSS. The third option was on-premise DTMF, install some equipment to de-scope the infrastructure and the agents, but support that equipment locally, or hosted DTMF suppression. So Dave's going to walk through how Shop Direct scored each of those factors.
Okay, so the overall aim, as we said, is to de-scope and de-risk our environment. And the first one we looked at was the restructuring. On risk, the effect is favourable. CDE has moved towards a party. However, on the customer experience side, we had problems as adverse from our point of view, as we'd have to redesign our payment process towards the end of the call, and that obviously has a risk of customers dropping PCI obligations, they are reduced because you're moving your CDE towards third parties. Then on the network segmentation, we'll pause and resume. The risk is still there, it's high. CDE is still in Shop Direct's environment. Card details aren't recorded, but they can still be heard by our agents. And we'd also experienced some historical issues with pause resume resulting from changes we've made to our IT infrastructure. From a customer perspective, no major changes to their experience. And on the cost side, again, there's a significant network restructure needed and the associated costs that go with that. And then the PCI obligations, there's no reduction as there's no third party involvement, it's all still within the Shop Direct environment. And the in-house ETMF. On the risk side, the CDE is still within our business, but there's obviously a lower risk. Customers, no major changes. Yeah, and the process may seem more secure to them. On the cost side, there's material internal costs associated with installing and configuring the equipment. And then on the PCI obligations, it's a simpler process, but the full number of PCI obligations are still required to be met. And the final choice we looked at, the risk, it's pretty much removed from our point of view. It allows us to concentrate on what we're in place for, which is retailing, and rely on the expertise of our third-party partners. Again, there's no major changes to the customer experience. On the cost side, there is some costs involved with the project. I'll just jump back to them after we've had a look at the effect on the PCI obligations, because in this choice, because of the third-party involvement, the complexity from our point of view is reduced. And then just nipping back to the costs, as part of the project, we identified a way we were able to replace an existing hosted call recording process as part of the project implementation, so we were able to reduce the cost base associated with the project. And just show you a short video clip of the process in action. As you can see from the four alternatives, the top three have all got red on the dials, which from our point of view wasn't acceptable. And the final one, the hosted DTMF suppression, you can see the risks are all on the low green side. So let's have a look at the video.
So the video is of the contact centre, Shop Direct's contact centre. It just gives you a quick 30-second view of what it looks like from a customer experience perspective.
Hello, my name is Rob. Can I confirm I'm speaking to the account holder?
Yes.
How may I help you today, Mr. Brooks?
I'd like to make a payment, please.
And will you be using an existing stored card or entering new card details?
Okay, that's done.
Thank you. That's a Visa Delta card?
Yeah.
So what happened before was that the customer was filling out card data and the agent was typing the details into a screen that was provided by the payment service provider. And I'll show you a diagram later on about just how at a high level how the infrastructure works. But the customer now uses a keypad to enter the data in. We capture that data in our hosted platform before it enters any of the Shop Direct infrastructure. And that's how we're able to de-scope their infrastructure. The agents, as you saw, only see asterisks coming from the screen. They only hear a constant tone in the ear as well, which means that the local call recorder is also de-scoped. I was actually surprised when Shop Direct went live and they said it was 3 seconds quicker on average for the process, so actually sped up the payment process as opposed to introduced a delay, which I was surprised at. You'll also notice that the customer stayed on the line with the agent throughout the whole process. They never get passed off to a different system, which enables you to ensure you don't get the dropout of payments, which is quite key. And also, the screen that you saw in that is their CRM system. We embed our system inside theirs, and one of the key criteria was to make it look exactly the same. So, from a training perspective, it's minimal training, so that means that the customer experience is a lot smoother. That's only one part of the solution, so what we're doing there is stopping card data from entering the environment going forward, so that's great. But ShopDirect have an obligation under FCA to keep their call recordings, and prior to implementing the DTMF solution, they've got call recordings that contain card data, so we call them legacy call recordings. So we had to work with Visa, and we worked with ShopDirect's QSA&Rs to come up with a solution of taking that card data outside of the environment as well, because that card data in the call recordings for the legacy represented the last cardholder data environment, and we wanted to remove that cardholder data environment. And as Dave said earlier, we also turned on, because the calls are going through our platform on the way to the ShopDirect infrastructure, we could just turn on call recording, which was an extra added benefit of cost saving. So there are 12 requirements that a lot of people in the room here are well aware of, and I guess why does ShopDirect and others want to de-scope? It's so that they don't have to worry about requirements 1 to 11, and they can outsource that to suppliers like ourselves. We worry about that, leaving Dave's team just to make sure that essentially we are doing what we say we will, and that the scope's covered, which represents a bit of a cost saving, reduction in lead time, etc. So, which is good.
Okay. On the customer benefits side, the customers are happier now. They see the transactions as being secure when we've spoken to them. We've had very positive feedback from them since we've gone live, and quite key for us is there's been no adverse impact on other IT projects we've been implementing to improve the customer experience, and there's been no impact on trading. I suppose from our point of view, we've been able to, by outsourcing, we've been able to concentrate our limited resources on projects that are heading us towards becoming a world-class digital retailer, which has been very, very helpful. And then on the business benefits side, we're obviously delivered to our strategy. The reduction of controls from 262 to 9 is a big plus. It resulted in internal savings as well as savings on the QSA side. By reducing the risk involved, we've had a positive assessment from our merchant acquirer, which helps as well. And there's been cost and time savings resulting from the implementation of the project. The alternative we went with was around about 40–50% cheaper than some of the other options we considered. We had CapEx savings coming out of the project, and also operational savings, which we're anticipating continuing for the next 5 years. And as Matthew said, one of the key benefits, which was a bonus really, that the call time reduced by 3 seconds across all call volumes that we have. And the nice shiny rewards bit. So in June this year, we were happy to receive the Retailer Week Award for Payment Project of the Year, following the implementation of this leading-edge solution. And from our point of view, this was the ultimate acknowledgement from our peers, the PCI journey that we commenced on. I suppose the only apology I'll give today is if any of you were there that night and you had to witness me and Matthew dancing, then sorry for that.
Yeah, it was good. And that really was really good, because obviously it was other people who are in the same group, retail group, who said it was good. And I think that the key, when we spoke to people and said, why did they give ShopDirect the award, it was because they'd got to the point of de-scoping the maximum amount that they possibly could, which was quite key. So a really high level, what does it look like before and after, because we often get questions about, does the call get split after, during, the middle of the call, at the payment point? So I'll just give you a quick high level view of it. So Shop Direct have they outsource, as he said, so that they can focus on being a retailer. They outsource their telcos, Vodafone, obviously it was previously Cable and Wireless Worldwide. They outsource the telephony environment to Vodafone. They outsource contact centre to Serco, both in the UK and South Africa. And they outsource the payment service provision is done through Optimal Payments. So before, customers would speak out the card data and they would then type it into a payment page which is hosted by Optimal Payments, and the calls would be recorded, had calls resumed, but due to implementation, I think he said that sometimes that was less than ideal, so calls were being recorded with card data. And all of the 5 contact centres and all of the infrastructure was both in scope and it wasn't compliant before they completed the journey. What we do is we integrate at the telco level and we relay the call through our platform prior to that call then hitting the Shop Direct infrastructure and contact centres. And that allows us to capture the card data as its input as DTMF, as the buttons when you hear them when they press it on the keypad. And we can capture it and stop it from continuing on into the contact centre infrastructure. So both the call recording infrastructure is descoped, but also the agent from a risk perspective, which was one of the key ones, the agent doesn't see or type in any details. We then host the payment page that you saw in the video on behalf of Optimal, essentially. And we capture the details, and we then pass all the payment details onto Optimal to take the payment. And that allows us to then control the screen, show the asterisks in real time as the customer's pressing details, and also we can inject the beep that you heard because we've got the call going to the platform. And the added benefit was that we could obviously call record as well. And that meant that the 5 sites were now compliant because they were de-scoped. They didn't have to worry about card data inside their environment. Apart from the legacy call recordings, which were the last CDE, so the last place they were storing card data inside their environment. And what we do is we came on site with an appliance, we encrypt those call recordings, and we store those call recordings in our environment, essentially. And we look after all of the 11 other requirements, apart from 12 of them. We look after all of the controls around those call recordings so that Shop Direct don't have to. And then that means that they're left in this position of not having any CDE, which is good. And that's what we did. Does anyone have any questions for us? So we've managed to finish a couple of minutes early.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Hello, thank you. Really enjoyed the presentation. It's Michael Christoulis from Barneycard. What happens when, for one reason or another, calls drop out? How are they handled, please?
Exception process.
Yes. Exactly. So, I'm an old man. I'm fumbling with my phone. How do you deal with me?
So there are, technically, from our perspective, there are 2 options for exceptions process. There's one option which is to fall back to a speech recognition instead of DTMF entering of the card data. And the second option is to enable an exception process for spoken word card data, which is a controlled environment where we can then implement pause resume on that call. I don't have the details of it, but I think Shop Direct went down a route of going through an exceptions process that they signed up with their QSA. Yeah. So I think they've done the spoken word process where the QSA signed off with their acquiring bank, which is WorldPay, a process that they're happy with. We've also got a second piece, which is what happens, the next question we get asked is what happens if for some reason our platform fails and you can't take DTMF payments anymore, which is aligned with what you just asked. And what we do there is, again, it's the acquiring bank and the QSA signing off a process for DR whereby Shop Direct can fail back to spoken word card payments. They can do that at the press of a button through internal sign-off, obviously, and then we can take those call recordings that now contain card data into our legacy solution. But each of those environments is specific to both your customers, i.e. what's the demographic of your customer, and also your QSA and your acquiring bank.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dave and Matthew. Thank you very much.